What up, everybody? It's Monday, December 3rd. We got a big week in store, and we got some news and some Q to catch up on from over the weekend. So let's begin. We're going to start with the sealed indictment count. Now that we're in a new month, we have a new count, and we have 5,233 new sealed indictments added from the month of November, bringing up the total count here to 66,568. Now, I've seen a lot of fake news floating around about these indictments. I've seen some people trying to say that, oh, there's just basic things like bankruptcies in these numbers. Not the case at all, and I've seen a lot of other fake news floating around about it. And, you know, if you take one particular dot, you can take it out of context and spin whatever narrative you want about that one singular dot. But when you start connecting the dots, when you start connecting the fact that, oh, wow, John Huber and his team of nearly 500 investigators started their work the exact same time that these sealed indictment counts started racking up. Or, wow, you know, this indictment count started about the same time that all of those CEOs started resigning last year. You know, again, if you take one dot, you can frame whatever context you want around it, but if you start connecting the dots, nope, it all makes sense. And these sealed indictment numbers are totally legit. All right, let's get into new Q for the day. We've had some posts from throughout the day yesterday and a couple last night. So we're going to start right here with post 2523. Q linking a few articles and then saying they are unlawful enemy combatants. Remember the questioning that Lindsey Graham gave Kavanaugh during those confirmation hearings about enemy combatants and military law? Very unusual. Defined treason. We've got an executive order that's going to be effective beginning the first day of 2019. Right here, Q's saying drops combined paint a full picture. Basically saying connect all the dots to paint a full picture. So let's look at some of these articles that Q linked. One of them here, discussing how there's going to be more than 100 members from a military police company that's going to be deploying to Guantanamo Bay very soon. Another one of the articles that Q linked here was this one from military.com. This came out earlier in the year in March, but Q has linked it multiple times, basically saying that there is some very important information in this article, and this article discusses how there's a huge new troop barracks being built in Guantanamo Bay, a lot of new construction in Guantanamo. There's also another detention center, massive prisoner jail being added to Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State. Wow, that's odd. You know, combine these in with those sealed indictment counts, more dots to connect there. And then the last article that Q linked here saying Pentagon delivers new guidelines on transferring detainees to Guantanamo. This came out back in May. But all of these connect. All of these connect. Guantanamo Bay is going to be expecting some very high-profile individuals there in the very near future. That's what Q is trying to tell us with this drop right here. Next one, 2524, think multiple meanings. Goodbye. This is in regards to Rosenstein. Q has been saying goodbye Rosenstein for months. Number one, fired and or removed from the DOJ. Number two, removed from special counsel oversight. Number two has been completed. Rod Rosenstein has been removed from special counsel oversight because now that Jeff Sessions has been removed from the Attorney General spot, we got Whitaker in. Whitaker is not recused from that special counsel, so that essentially removed Rod Rosenstein from overseeing it. And Q's saying, number one, Rod Rosenstein being fired or removed from the DOJ is coming. Lerner Communications, Q says, Huber, Fizuz, two-way street. Let's take a look at the next drop to get a little more clarity on that. Goodbye, Mr. Rosenstein, saying the goodbye yet again. Did Rosenstein feel safe post Air Force One 30-minute meeting with POTUS? Did Rod Rosenstein communicate his meeting back to his handlers? When your enemy feels in control, they make some pretty dumb moves. Panic regarding Whitaker, panic regarding Huber. Important question here. Why has the FISA court kept quiet regarding the discovery of fraud perpetrated on the court? When an operation is active, So in regards to the Huber FISA's two-way street, this is basically meaning that I bet Rod Rosenstein has a FISA order on him. A lot of these bad actors probably have FISA orders on them. They're all being spied on. FISA is a two-way street. Of course, the bad actors tried to use FISA a couple years ago to spy on Trump and his campaign, but now FISA is being used against them. And when an operation is active, so obviously there's a FISA operation being conducted, which is why the court has been kept so quiet. I bet Rod Rosenstein and all of his friends are shitting their pants right now. All right, moving on to the next drop, 2526. Q linking a tweet saying, "A world united is a beautiful thing." Let's take a look at that tweet. And this is from the protests. This particular one is from Berlin, Germany, but there's protests going on all around Europe right now. Look at that! Q, 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 Q! In Berlin, Germany. A world united. Q saying some other things about those protests in France and in Europe. Right here, what you're witnessing in France has nothing to do with a gas tax. That's just the forced narrative. The cover that they're putting out into the public, Vive la France! And CNN right here saying, France considers all options to quell violent protests. I also saw some propaganda corporate media trying to pin it on climate change. Like these protests, these massive, like thousands and thousands of people are out there protesting for climate change. I mean, it's just pathetic, the narratives that they're trying to put out there about it to cover up the real issues. People in Europe just sick of their governments. Easy to see. And then right here, Q also mentioning the riots in France today. And then up here, ask yourself a very simple question. Why is there a total and complete MSM blackout regarding all of the protests, all of the riots going on in the European Union? Fake news is truly the enemy of the people. So big stuff going on in Europe. Solidarity to all those folks. Now let's go back down here onto the next drop, 2527. This is in regards to the strange waves news. Now let's backtrack a little bit. Strange waves rippled around the world. Nobody knows why. This news came out late last week, and a lot of people very confused about it. On the morning of November 11th, a huge frequency wave went around the world, and they're claiming nobody knows why, but with the help of Q, gives us a little bit of clarity as to why. Q says, think waves. WW means worldwide, worldwide waves. Define unified, and then 17 in brackets there. This next line, satellite knockout forced new classified tech online by who? Controlled, moment activated, 17. Do you believe in coincidences? Now, these strange waves, they lasted for about 20 minutes, a little over 20 minutes, and there was a 17-second delay in between the rising of the waves. 17 seconds. Obviously, not a coincidence, as Q is saying here. And I mean, we can speculate, we can theorize on what exactly this new classified tech is. In my head, I was like, well, you know, we know the cabal, the deep state, they use electromagnetic frequency technologies for mass mind control reasons. So I was thinking, you know, maybe this frequency was some sort of worldwide frequency put out by classified technologies, maybe to help harmonize all of our brainwaves, maybe to undo that mass mind control. That could be what unified means. Again, that's just my own speculation. You can let your own theories, your own speculations run wild here, but very interesting. Think waves worldwide, define unified. I'm curious, man. I'm truly curious what sorts of black project classified technologies that Q has access to. Really hope we find out one of these days. Let's see this next drop, 2528. Little bit of cheerleading going on here, but that's always good. Keep people on track. Keep people inspired. Power belongs to the people. You are what matters. All you needed was a spark to unite together. Q was that spark that came out over a year ago to show for everybody, to act as that spark to catalyze people, to help them unify. And I'm very curious as to the wording that's in this drop here. Power belongs to the people. Spark. You know, we're talking about Black Project classified technologies here. Free energy. Come on, Q. I know you got it. Start rolling it out. Come on. Start talking about it. If and when Q starts making drops regarding free energy, whoo, I'll get excited. They are scared. Deep State is truly. Think fake news attacks on Q. Second only to POTUS himself. Together we win. Trust yourself. Think for yourself. Open your heart and your mind. I like that line right there. Open your heart and your mind. Where we go one, we go all. And let's see, the last few drops here, we had Q linking some folks that were putting their Q stories on Twitter. This person got a note on her car from a fellow Anon saying she's never seen a Q Patriot in real life. God bless you. So that's good news. The word's spreading. Do not mistake silence for size, Q says. A lot of people out there who follow Q, who believe in Q, they literally just don't say anything about it for fear of ridicule, for fear of ostracism, whatever the case is. There's a lot more people following Q than I think a lot of us realize. And then this last drop I'm going to cover before I get into some more articles. Another confirmation here. Confirmation number, like 15 million by now? Yesterday, the White House put out a statement by Donald Trump that says, "Together we reaffirm the truth that light will always break through darkness." Dark to light. Q has been posting for a long, long time. Light through darkness. Q again saying, do you believe in coincidences? More confirmation. So that's really all in regards to the Q drops that I want to go over. Right here, China agrees to label deadly synthetic opioid fentanyl as a controlled substance. It's about time. Jeez, they weren't doing this in the first place? What the heck? So Trump met with the Chinese president, President Xi, over the weekend, and this was a good piece of news coming out of that. China agreeing to label the synthetic opioid fentanyl, and that's going to take a real hit to the elite's black market drug running, right? I'm sure they don't like that news. Comey agrees to a semi-public testimony after dispute with Republican lawmakers. So Comey was trying to push for a completely public testimony. The reason he wanted it public is because he wanted to avoid being asked any classified questions. And because it was public, he would have been able to use that excuse. It's classified, I can't talk on that. But now it's a semi-public testimony. His testimony is going to be behind closed doors. And then within 24 hours, the transcripts of it are going to make it public. And then Comey can start talking about it. So a little bit of meeting in the middle here. But now that it is closed doors, it's likely that they're going to be able to ask him things that they weren't going to be able to ask him with a public testimony. And then the U.S. Navy's top admiral in the Middle East found dead in his home. This man, the commander of the Fifth Fleet, Vice Admiral Scott Stearney, he was commander of the whole Middle East Navy fleet there, found dead in his home in Bahrain. They're attributing his death to possible suicide. I know you're already questioning that one, myself included, but I don't have any other sort of dots to connect with this one to theorize or speculate on anything more. I don't really want to because it's a sad situation, but suicide. Curious. Next, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu should be charged with bribery, police say. So Israeli police have recommended indicting Prime Minister Netanyahu and his wife for alleged fraud and bribery. And I know a lot of people out there, they're very attached to Israel for whatever reason, you know. And unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption in Israel. The swamp is worldwide, and we need to drain that swamp wherever it may show up. And in Israel, there's a whole hell of a lot of corruption that goes on there, you know. And we can't generalize. We can't blanket statement. We can't say that all Israel is good, just like we can't say that all Israel is bad. Same thing as America. We can't say all America is good, because obviously there's plenty of deep state operatives here. We can't say that all America is bad either. Of course, there's a lot of patriots, a lot of white hats trying to do good work here in this country. So same thing over there in Israel. Can't say it's all good, can't say it's all bad. It's all about factions, it's all about groups, it's all about these secret societies that have worked to infiltrate themselves into the control systems of nations around the globe. The deep state is a transnational thing. So, heck, I'll be very excited to see when the swamp starts getting drained in Israel, because that means that the connected swamp worldwide will start getting drained as well. Q said saving Israel for last for a very good reason. I think one of those reasons is because Israel is a nuclear nation. You don't want to piss off the deep state in Israel with them having their hands on nukes quite yet. And also, I think Q said saving Israel for last because of a lot of people's emotional attachments to Israel. You know, it's a very careful situation going on here. So the swamp getting drained there. Nonetheless, I'm sure it will. Pope Francis says he's worried about homosexuality in the priesthood. In a new book that he put out, he said that the Catholic clergy and priests who are gay should be celibate or leave rather than lead a double life. Pope Francis really forgiving here, right? Being very forgiving, very accepting, not very Christ-like, frankly. And Pope Francis has all these issues about homosexuality in the priesthood. Well, what about his issues with pedophilia in the priesthood? Why is he calling for silence on that issue, right? He just doesn't want people to talk about it. Silence and prayers, that's all he's calling for. Silence and prayers. Ah, you corrupt-ass Vatican. Hell of a lot of swamp in there, too. I'll be very excited when that's drained. And it is. I mean, we've got, especially around America here, archdioceses being raided. A lot of news coming out about child sex abuse. Once it hits the Vatican, no attachments, guys. No attachments. Going to be a lot of broken hearts around the world when they realize what kind of nastiness goes on at the Vatican. And the very last thing I have to share with you, this news article coming out of the Washington Examiner just this morning, Ivanka Trump's mission to stop human trafficking. And Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump's daughter, she's been doing a lot of work to combat human trafficking here in this country. Seeding the public's mind. A lot of information is going to come out in the next few months, especially in regards to the Clinton Foundation. We're waiting for more information come out about that just in days. And a lot of other elites' involvement in human trafficking, child sex trafficking. So this article is prepping people for those hard-hitting drops to start making it to the public. And that's all I have here in this video. Probably my first video of the day. I'll do another one a little bit later. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing, supporting, sharing, doing what you do with these videos. Just want to make a note. Shout out to everybody on Patreon. Thank you for supporting me there, and you can support me there if you want to. I appreciate it. You get some exclusives there, exclusive live chats, exclusive giveaways, and more direct access to me. It's very easy to message me on Patreon. So thank you all who support me there. I'll be back very soon. Done.